Hey guys, it's Spaces Sims, and we are back with more Paradigm Paradox, going to wrap up Ibuki's route with all of his other endings. So we got our happy ending last time. We're gonna do everything else and then all the little investigation report things that opened up. So, we are starting with our normal end. So I opened up our save file here, and we say, must I give him an answer? Oh. Do I really need to give him an answer? Maybe it's for Ibuki himself. I don't know, but there must be some reason why he wants me to decide. And I want to know the reason. Why would Ibuki ask me something like that? Why would he say I'm special? This is the one... Yeah, okay. Yep, okay. So then maybe I'm special. No, it's still one of... What is a special child? Okay. And then he's human. Okay, so... We'll just let this skip then, because we only changed that one answer for the normal ending. Interesting. Okay. I heard familiar voices. Voices that shouldn't be here. I whirled around. Oh. It was the Blooms members and the commander. And the commander, okay. Moravia seemed wary of the new arrivals, and she dropped back to watch from a safe distance. Coyote and the others ran up to me, all breathing sighs of relief. Looks like we made it just in time. What were you all doing here? We're here to save you, obviously. I'm glad you're still in one piece. Taking on Moravia one-on-one. Are you crazy? I'll help you. You can't defeat her yourself, but if we work together... Despite being touched by the sentiment, I hurriedly stopped them. Hold on, everyone. What is it? For a hot second, I was like, God, I couldn't remember saying his voice. My brain couldn't process it was who. I don't want you to fight. This is something I need to do myself. Everyone looked confused by my proclamation. Just then... Moravia... The Bloom stiffened upon noticing Moravia had crept closer. Moravia, however, showed no sign of fear. She regarded me calmly. If you have reinforcements, then the battle is over. What? But... Okay, so all of a sudden I realized my recording software was fucking frozen, but I think it's because my graphics card needed to update. So, anyway, it stopped here, so I thought you and I were one and the same, but I was wrong. I can't ever be human. Moravia turned her back to me and started to walk away. Panicked, I called after her. Wait, Moravia... What? With everyone here, this is a good opportunity. We can talk everything out. I'd never get a better chance to explain everything to everyone. Commander, I met with Uncle Yashima. He told me everything. The commander smiled as if those few words told him everything he needed to know. Well, I'll be. That must have been quite the shock. I need to tell everyone the truth. Otherwise, we're just going to end up... Suddenly, Moravia's eyes moved to something off in the distance. They're here. Huh? I turned to see what Moravia was looking at and saw Hyuga and Yukonami heading our way. That's them! The Bloom's members tensed up the moment they caught sight of Moravia's comrades. I don't know, this feels like it's heading more bad ending, but... Hey, what's all the commotion? Trying to start a war or something? You scared him half to death, you know. By them, Yukonami presumably meant Lizzie and Uncle Yashima. With all three Vector handlers assembled, the tension in the air had ramped up to 100. More enemies. Not very advantageous for us. Huh? Oh, you want to have a go? Game if you are. Just be prepared to be ground to a pulp. Stop! Hold on! Please don't fight! This is no mere fight. It's war. I know, but wait, that's not what I meant! Everyone, please just calm down. At least hear me out first. My earnestness calmed everyone down a bit, but both sides were far too wary of each other to let their guards down. The Blooms all looked to the commander, and Hyuga and Yukonami looked to Moravia. Nobody knew what to do. Alright, let's give her a chance. This is stuff y'all need to know anyway. Fine by me. That sounds boring. I want to rumble. Yukonami, behave. Fine. Relief washed over me when both sides agreed to let me talk. I felt like I'd just defused a bomb. Phew! I snuck a glance at Moravia. Our eyes met. I gave her a small thank you smile and could have sworn I saw her eyes soften for just a moment. I'm about to tell everyone what I learned from Uncle Yashima, a former researcher, and about what happened in Theta's research district. I hope we gloss over this and we don't have to go walk through it. Project Environmental Adaptation, Enviro Adaptation is so fucking stupid, I'll never stop complaining. Project Environmental Adaptation, the success stories who were born with superpowers, and the failures who were exiled as vectors. I touched on Ibuki's background too. Everyone in the Bloom seemed shocked to learn the truth. To learn that their sworn enemies weren't so very different from them. No wonder they weren't sure what to think. And that's the extent of it. Nobody said anything after I wrapped up, but everyone looked somber. The Blooms remained silent, but even more surprising was that Hyuga and Yukonami never said a word either. Yukonami seemed distracted at first, but he gradually grew more and more attentive. Maybe he was actually capable of getting lost in thought. Well, that was a mouthful, huh? To sum it up, yeah, everything is all the higher-ups' fault. Every eye turned to glare at him. Could he ever not be glib? I'm pretty sure there's several mouthfuls there. I was stunned, too, when I learned everything from Uncle Yashima. Moravia has asked me if the world should belong to humans or vectors. Now that I know the truth, it's even harder to decide what's right. Then why were you fighting? You looked to be a rather unfair match, though. That was not so much a fight. Moravia and I just... Imagine her taking on Moravia. No, that's reckless. The epitome of reckless. Ugh. I couldn't believe it. Kaori and Yukonami were scoring points off me together. Well, anyway, that's the story. I forced the Blooms to commit atrocities. Humans are responsible for making vectors, but I sent you out to put them down. I'm honestly deeply remorseful about that. And don't act like you're solely responsible for everything. I love how even, don't act like you're solely responsible for everything. Normally, if the commander was like, I had no idea, bullshit, don't lie to us, you asshole. But you're not directly responsible for everything, just everything he says has snark to it. I love it. It's kind of adorable right now. I knew the truth was hidden from us, but when I think about what we've done... I was the one who gave you the order to fight. I'm your commander. You aren't responsible for this. I don't want to cause you any more pain or force you to do anything you don't want to do. From now on, make your own decisions. Washing your hands of everything, huh? It was hardly a speech fit for a commander. Do better. Ha! You girls are merciless, you know that? Everyone was giving the commander a hard time, but nobody seemed to really blame him. He'd been stuck in an impossible situation and tried to do his best for everyone, including me. I think everyone realized that, right there, everything that I've been saying summed up in a perfect sentence. He's in an impossible situation, but I'm pretty sure those words came out in 3,000 other words when succinctly those would have done. Anyway, so what do you all plan to do? The members of the Blooms exchanged looks. Then they nodded as one. For one thing, I suppose it's no longer possible for us to carry on our current roles in the Blooms. Yeah, leaving aside the fine details for now, we can at least say that much. And that goes for me too. I don't like being used. Nor do I. Just think about how the higher-ups used us like pawns makes me furious. Just thinking about, wow. Yeah, you're all right. Moravia broke her long silence to address me. What do you want to do, Spacey? I can't keep doing what I've been doing. I want my life to be about something else. If we're disbanding the Blooms, I'd like to ask the Vector handlers to help me keep them from attacking humans. Everyone seemed surprised by my choice. Both sides of the conflict, Vector and human alike, looked at me with shock. I'll need your help with that, Moravia. Why me? You're human. I want you to understand that, no matter how long it takes. I'll keep at it until you realize who you are. If you assist me with the Vectors, you should eventually become comfortable with your humanity. Well, ain't that all sunshine and roses? Oh, well, ain't it all sunshine and roses, sorry. You just stood here and told us how humans created the vectors only to kill and exile them. Now you want us to cooperate? Get real. Count me out, too. Sounds like a real snooze fest, and I got better things to do. The vectors are driven to seek out humans. I'm not about to rob them of that right. Hyuga's answer was crystal clear. I waited to hear what Moravia would say. All right. Moravia, you serious? Really? I'll warn you now. You'll never convince me that I'm human. Nevertheless, your proposed plan is a good one. I'll help you out. Moravia hasn't fully come around to my point of view, but it's a start. We met on opposite ends of the battlefield, and now we shared a bit of common ground. It was a big step forward. I joyously ran to Moravia and grabbed her hands. Thank you, Moravia. Now let me see goddamn Ibuki. Just don't get your hopes up. Still, I'm so happy. Ugh, for real? What a pain in the... If Moravia's down, I guess I'll throw my hat in the ring too. The two of them seemed reluctant, but they didn't want to oppose Moravia. I shifted my huge smile from Moravia to Hyuga and Yukonami. It's going to be great working with you guys. Afterwards, it was decided that the commander and the Blooms would return to Theta and arrange to be officially disbanded. I would remain here with Lizzie and do everything I could to keep the Vectors from attacking humans. The commander proposed using Rio as a go-between so we could keep in touch. Ibuki and the others were in agreement. But what part did Rio really play in all of this? We'll find out! He's not here today, and the others don't know where he is either. He's a real enigma. Not for long! His part's next, starting tomorrow. Well, time to go home. See ya. Yeah, stay well, everyone. They're all gone now. I feel kind of lonely. As I watched them leave, I realized that Moravia had shifted back to Ibuki. Thank you for opening your mind today. I'm glad we came to an agreement. My open mind isn't going to change, though. Aw, don't say that. Like I told you before, we don't have the right to decide whether humans or vectors deserve to live in this world. And like I told you before, you're not the only one who's made up their mind. I'm going to make sure you accept that you're human, so stop being silly. I folded my arms and glared, but Ibuki just burst out laughing. You really are a funny little thing. I've never argued with anyone before. I somehow get the feeling it'll be fun having you try to make me see your point of view. Really? Even if I don't intend on being swayed. Huh. My ideal future was still a long way off. But as long as I had Ibuki by my side, sharing jokes and laughter, I could look forward with hope. I'll win you over, you'll see, so you'd best get ready. Uh-huh. I look forward to seeing you try. I flashed a determined grin at Ibuki. There was no way I was going to lose. Okay. I feel like that definitely, yes. You know what I mean? Like the leaves the door way more open, like resolves less than the happy end, but the happy end also didn't resolve much more than that one. This one's like, okay, we'll eventually figure it out, and the happy one's like, yeah, we're a little bit further, but you're still like, it's just a slightly different, and maybe you have things a little more figured out, a little more happen, but like, it's still very open-ended, and like, someday we'll figure shit out, so like, okay, so save file 1 is bad end 3, so this one's a lot of skipping. What is it looking at? What is it looking at? You can't take a guess. Put yourself behind its eyes for a moment. There's only one thing up ahead. Theta. My breath caught in my throat as I realized... Right. Your home colony. Why are they looking at Theta so intently, even though they stopped charging? Okay. And then we skip to the next unread, and I don't know about that. I don't know. Ibuki's not wrong, but I feel like I shouldn't just up and acknowledge it. It wouldn't be right. Not to Lizzie, and not to the other people who got hurt. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. I was helpless to come up with another answer, no matter how hard I tried. It was just so beyond everything I knew. So it seems like the common theme of this bad ending is just being wishy-washy and not committing to anything or having any thoughts. Or opinions? Don't know, huh? Well, that sort of counts as an answer. When I see the Vectors living their lives, I feel like everything is as it should be. But the colonies are artificial worlds built by humans. There's nothing natural about them. Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of... Even if you didn't live inside a colony, inside of a dome, everything humans make is kind of artificial, created by humans, crafted to make humans have a better life. So, like, you could technically say that about our current world. Like, Vector, like, deer and bear are living their natural lives, and everything made by humans is artificial. Well, like, yeah. But, like, not everything humans do to make their lives better and more comfortable is bad. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of negative side effects to certain things, but, like, you know, bears sleep in caves to, you know, get shelter. Humans build houses. Yeah, I mean, sure, you could go, like, well, in the extreme of, like, giant, enormous mansions and, like, whatever, not great, or, like, whatever, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's downsides to modern technology and, like, the way we do things, but we're also not theoretically at the end-all be-all. The bottom level is, like, we keep clothing on our body so we don't burn our flesh off in the sun. Also, somewhere someone decided being naked was wrong, like, in public, so, okay. So we wear clothes so that we're not flapping our bits and baubles at everybody. Sure. But also, like, you know, if you live in the north, you kind of need it so you don't freeze your nips off, right? You know? You know, we don't have enough body hair no matter how long you let that shit grow. You know, no matter how long I go between shaving my legs. You know, I might be like, wow, that's a long leg hair. But I really don't have a lot of leg hair. It's very sparse. So it's not keeping me warm in the winter. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's not helping. So we need clothes. Sure, the way we manufacture clothing and everything is not the best for the environment. But, you know. But him just being like, the colonies are unnatural. Everything about human life is kind of unnatural if you're basing it compared to an animal mind where they just are, like, way more simple than a complex human brain. So, like, yeah, that's going to apply anywhere, but it doesn't make your argument valid. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Anyway, the world outside the colonies, the real world, I mean, is the Vectors' domain. That's fair, because people can't live outside, but the Vectors can. What are you trying to say exactly? Humans can't survive long outside the colonies. The Vectors, however, can. Maybe it's a sign that this world tolerates the presence of the Vectors more than that of the humans. How could you... Ibili's observation frightened me, but I managed to pipe up and protest. I mean, you can see his thought process and, like, yeah, Vectors can live outside, so yeah, the outside world is more suited to them. But you can't really say the world accepts them. Humans created them, though, so they wouldn't exist if humans hadn't intervened. So, like, your argument's invalid. But you can absolutely see his thought process, knowing that you consider yourself to be, in essence, one of them, or just not a human, not a Vector, but you're not a human, so you're more Vector, because the Vectors were science experiments, you were a science experiment, and of course you're going to be like, humans did this to me, I'm going to lump all humans together and be like, they all suck, they did this, and maybe the world's better suited for my kind, because fuck you guys. You know? Absolutely can see where his thought process is coming from. Not to say it's 100% valid. But also not 100% wrong either. You know? Like, not every human is a scumbag, but that doesn't mean that the researchers aren't scumbags. And that they should be killing Vector. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta, like, you're half right. But, like, half wrong. Because you can't lump every single human together. It's kind of like when, like, you have wars between countries. You can't lump every single person that lives in one country with the group, a handful of douchebags. You know what I mean? It's like just because one set of aliens invaded doesn't mean all aliens are evil, right? and even all of that particular type are not evil. Have we not watched Star Trek, guys? You know, you can't, like, not every race of aliens a big bag of dicks. Sometimes they are, because that's the way the writing was. But, like, you know. Anyway. Are you trying to say that the Vectors are the chosen species and humans are the ones who should be weeded out? By the way, the humans made the Vectors, so again, this is not like they magically formed out there. I simply stated a fact. This world is best suited for the Vectors. I mean, sorta, I can kind of get behind you there, but that feeling came over me like I was listening to Ibuki state a dark premonition. Okay. I mean, I can get behind him in the world suited for Vectors. Technically, he's not wrong, but that doesn't mean, like, still, again, not right in your, like, intended genocidal thoughts going on in your head. But again, to be fair, are the researchers not trying to do the same thing to the Vectors? So, I don't know how I feel. A decision like that isn't mine to make. What gives me the right to decide who lives and who dies? I'm one person with one perspective. See? She's on the ball right here. After all, choosing one side would mean discarding the other. Even if I somehow had the right to decide, I would never want to make that choice. Humans are trapped in the colonies, like baby birds who will never be able to leave the nest. But Vectors can roam free and live anywhere. It's not a complicated question, right? It is a complicated question. There isn't a single person alive who can give you an answer. And that's how you feel, huh? Well, even though we don't agree, I wanted to know your answer. I get what he's saying, honestly, huh? If I stay here any longer, I feel like Ibuki will eventually get me to see things his way. Ibuki's views scared me, but I couldn't dismiss them as invalid. Organisms suited to an environment thrived. Organisms not suited to an environment died out. That's what natural selection was all about. But there's nothing natural about the Vectors in a way. Human intervention. But they were humans once, which are natural. So, I mean... I really could go either way. I couldn't forgive the researchers' actions, and I felt sympathy for the Vectors. But if I agreed with what Ibuki thought, it would mean turning my back on my humanity and all the people I'd come to know in my life. I can't just declare everything I've ever known to be a lie. Just the thought terrifies me. I feel for the Vectors, that much is certain, and what the humans are doing is wrong. Ibuki's thoughts on that aren't incorrect either. But something about it all just isn't right. Yeah. And that's exactly it. Like, yes, what the humans are doing is absolutely wrong, but, you know, that doesn't mean everything he's saying is right. You know, like, he's not wrong, but he ain't right either. It's like 50-50. Maybe I'm special after all. I guess I might be special after all. Ibuki chuckled, pleased that I'd accepted his title for me. Yes, you are. You're a very special child. That's what I've been saying all along, right? I thought back to my talk with Uncle Yashima and considered about what Ibuki really meant by special. But that's not the kind of special I'm talking about. You're the only one who thinks I'm special. In the grand scheme of the world, I'm not at all. So I have no right to do something like choose between humans or Vectors. And then we're going to say he's neither human nor Vector, and then we get stabbed. I don't think you classify as human or Vector, which means you can't possibly pick a side, right? I believe that I'm a human, and I want to believe you're as human as I am. Me? A human? Are you being serious? You want to believe I'm human? Even with my powers, you think you can pigeonhole me as a human? Ibuki lifted his hand at me suddenly, as if seized by a fit of emotion. I didn't even have time to be shocked. I slid sideways, and Maravia's attack seared past me, except for this time he's Ibuki and not Moravia, but... You know what I mean? But that's still that's the exact same line as in the other one. They just recycled the line and forgot that we're not fighting Moravia right now. What kind of human has powers like these? Ibuki's deep distress seemed to throw him out of balance. He kept flickering between Ibuki and Moravia. He probably wasn't aware it was happening. Okay, no, this is the exact same thing that happened. Okay, now he's actually going back and forth. Everybody else comes in. Okay. I heard voices behind us. Voices that shouldn't be here. I whirled around and saw the Blooms standing there. And that wasn't all. They were accompanied by a platoon of armed fighters. Uh-oh. I thought in this, like, okay, Ibuki's gonna throw things at us, we're not gonna be able to dodge, and he's gonna accidentally kill us. But now there's a bunch of, military dudes here, so... What are they doing here? No! Why? My happiness at seeing them lasted for a mere second. I felt my expression drop, but the Blooms didn't seem to notice.
Oh, phew. You seem to be okay. Okay, she's barely holding herself together.
Did the Vectors get you? I'll make them pay. Never fear. We're here now. What are you doing here? And who are those people?
We heard you've been taken to the Vectors colony, so we're here to rescue you. These people are members of an elite squad dispatched by the higher-ups.
The higher-ups? You told me all I needed to know. No, they're not here to save me. They're here to wipe out all the Vectors. That's why they sent an army. Oh, I feel like Ibuki's gonna die. Knowing what I did about the higher-ups and hearing that I was being rescued, it wasn't hard to put two and two together. Have I been fighting all this time just to protect the kind of people who do such a thing? I won't let them get away with this. Anger bubbled up inside me, and I saw red. Moravia seemed to sense my fury. She dropped her guard and came up behind me. Pitiful thing. Betrayed by the humans you trusted. Helpless to do anything but shake in impotent rage. And yet you remain undecided. You honestly can't tell me who deserves this world more. Moravia's words sank into my brain like tendrils of poison. My reasons for taking humanity's side suddenly seemed laughable. I could have sworn I heard a snap inside my mind as all my reservations fled. I get it now. Humans. It's humans that don't belong. Your decision makes me very happy. Let us make a new world together, Spacey. Moravia then released her unbridled psychokinetic powers, knocking down the Blooms and the soldiers. Then, with Hyuga and Yukonami's help, she rounded up the Vectors and ordered them to charge. I just hate the fact that we're going to hurt our Blooms friends. I just stood and watched it unfold. I felt nothing. Oh, now our dress is black. Instead of, it was a white dress, and it was red, white, and blue, and now it's pink, like a pinky color, a bluey purple color, and black. We dyed it because we're evil now in this CG. But look how happy Ibuki looks. At least for a bad end CG, it's not terrible. You know what I mean? They're usually traumatic or something. This one's kind of pretty. Much time has passed since that day. What a wonderful sight. All those Vectors just living life to its fullest. Yes, they're so peaceful. Ibuki and I watched the Vectors from our usual high vantage point. We did this every day. When I saw the Vectors living such peaceful lives, I was reminded that my choice had been the right one. Vectors don't fight like humans do. They don't steal. They don't lie. They're a far purer, far less complicated life form. It's sad that we probably killed our friends. The Vectors moved happily and freely through the ruins where humans once lived, as if they'd always been there. Oh, over there. What is it? Nothing. I was just thinking back on how Lizzie and I used to go to that cafe. That's right. We were in what used to be Theta, my home colony. Every resident had been turned into a Vector. Not a single human remained. The once lively buildings had fallen into ruins and were starting to crumble away. Do you miss that life? I don't know. I don't remember what it means to miss something anymore. I see. I know I made the correct choice, right? Doubt briefly flickered in my mind again, but I snuffed it out. I needed to believe I'd done the right thing, or I was afraid I'd lose my mind. Though perhaps I'd already lost it. Well then, shall we head to the next colony? Ibuki held his hand out, and I took it. Everything's okay. I'm with Ibuki. This was the future I wanted, after all. Yeah, we're gonna go colony to colony and kill everyone. That's kind of fucked up. That's definitely fucked up. Alright. Short bad ends. 2. And then we say, I think the Vectors deserve it. Vectors, I think. I didn't like my answer, but after hearing everything Ibuki had to say, how could I come to any other conclusion? Only I didn't want to give up on humanity. I wanted a world where humans and vectors could live peacefully alongside each other. But just as I was about to finish my thought, Ibuki squeezed my hand firmly. You and I feel the same way. The vectors are the true inheritors of this world. It's the humans that deserve pity. After all, they're stunted animals who can't live outside their colonies. What? I felt the blood drain from my face. Please don't worry. I have no intent to discard humankind. Not entirely. I desperately wanted the conversation to stop. No, wait! But Ibuki wasn't slowing down. I can handle this. I'm more than able to turn every human into a vector. That way everyone can live freely. No one confined behind the walls of some colony. The world will open up and accept us all. I'm so happy you told me your point of view. No, you're not listening. Stop for a second. It was too late. In that moment, I realized I'd made a terrible mistake and I could never take it back. It was all over. I never stopped repenting for my grave sin. What should I have said? What could I have done differently on that dark day? One thing at least was very clear. I'd made a very poor choice. That was the only certainty. My careless words sparked humanity's end. Imagine that, though. A man so kind of into you that when you're like, I don't know, I think vectors deserve it, he's like, I'll wipe out humanity. He's going to wipe out humanity for you. Like, shit. That's insane. Okay, so it's this one. Bad end 2. This is our last one. Okay. He's probably a vector. I hesitated for a moment, then answered. If I was forced to choose, I'd say you're probably a vector, Ibuki. You don't live or act like a human. So if you have to be one or the other, I'd say you're more like a vector. It's funny because saying that you're like neither one, like he gets all mad. If you say he's human, he gets mad. And if you say he's a vector, you're going to end up dead. I'm a vector. But I want you to be a human, like me. It's not too late. Let's find a way to live together as humans, okay? Ibuki looked shocked for a second. Then a wide, unsettling grin spread slowly across his face. No, I have no desire to be human. You're right. I am a vector. Coming to terms with that is somehow liberating. I am a vector, and I'm going to make a world where vectors can live freely as themselves. I'll start by exterminating every last human in Theta. What? Oh, so basically every time she opens her mouth and says anything, there's a lot of places where this could go horribly wrong. My heart sank. I'd chosen the wrong answer. The game's like, dumbass. Wait, please, don't say things like that. I'm sorry everything has come to this, but I am a vector, and it's the humans who made us what we are. It's natural to seek revenge against those who hurt you. And you are the same as me. If I'm a vector, then so are you. That's not right. Yes, it is. I froze in place as Ibuki reached out his hand to me. Gently, he caressed my cheek. Where you should be, what you should do, the answer must be the same for us both. Because we're the same. Ibuki spoke softly as he slid his hand from my cheek to my forehead. The world around me suddenly became dim. We'll always be together, Spacey. What did he do to me? What did he do to me? Okay, well, that was it. So, oops. We've already seen all of these, right? Oh, right. Because it was the same thing with... No, it's like Tokyo's open, but Ayumu's didn't open anything. Except for... Did we see... I'm very sure we saw the first 3 and we saw the 4th one, but, like, none of them opened up anything. The note one is just those, but yeah, these must not all open. Those 3 don't open until we get to... Well, these 2 anyway. Alright. Ibuki's daily life. I wanted to see what was going on outside, so I came all the way out here. But nothing's changed. Well, maybe things are just changing slowly. I'll go a bit farther. There used to be a building around here, but I guess it's already collapsed. So things are changing. I wonder if that's good or bad for me. Oh, I see there's another one of you here. I'll take you back to Tau with me later. There should be a colony up ahead. It'd probably be good to look around other places besides Theta. There it is. What's that one called again? Ah, right, Iota. I certainly can't knock on their front door. Where would be good to sneak in from? I'll just circle around the wall first. Ah, there's a great spot. What? Hey, where'd you come from? Huh, someone's there. I should ask you what you're doing here. Kids don't usually loiter around the outer walls.
Oh, wait a sec, I get it now. You must have also noticed that this hole in the outer wall's getting bigger.
Huh? Yeah. I came over here because I noticed it.
I knew it. But hey, don't tell anyone, okay? I'm not saying anything either.
Of course I won't tell anyone. It has nothing to do with me.
Okay then, you should get out of here before someone sees you. I gotta go too.
Sure thing. Bye now. That kid wants to keep the hole in the outer wall a secret. I see. Unlike Theta, the facilities here are quite old. It appears the way people think here is also a bit outdated. It should set off alarm bells that the outer wall's about to bust open. Or perhaps this is all according to the higher-ups' plans. Well, whatever they're plotting, I'll just keep looking for my own answer. I should remember this spot. Might come in handy. Interesting that the higher-ups aren't just in Theta, they're over all the colonies. Because that, like, you know, I never really, like, when they're like, oh, the higher-ups, you're thinking the higher-ups in Theta, right? You know, that's where they're doing the experimentation. But when he says the higher-ups, they're over all the colonies. I mean, which would kind of make sense. You know what I mean? Like, you think about, like, the United States. Like, you have a bunch of different states. You have your governing bodies over your state, but then you have the federal fucking government over it. You know what I mean? So it'd be like, yeah, you might have people who are in charge of the colony of Theta, right? But there's got to be somebody overseeing all of them, so the higher-ups aren't just, like, Theta's bosses or management or government. It's somebody else, but, like, at the same time, we all live in bubbles. How the fuck are you gonna stop me doing whatever the fuck I want to do, bitch? You know what I mean? Like, how are you gonna stop everything? Because you're not coming and visiting, so, like, you know what I mean? I mean, I guess you really don't have, like, your federal government, like, busting into your, like, state either, but I feel like it's a little bit harder to govern bubble colonies when nobody can go outside. You know what I mean? Shit happens in a state. People can come in. It's not like, well, wait, we gotta get them protective soon. We gotta be careful, and then we gotta bust through wall. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a little different. So, like, you know? Interesting. All right. That's an interesting tidbit for later to hold on to, the higher-ups over all the other colonies. But does make sense, though, that there would be something else shady outside of Theta going on, too, because, you know, it was like you have to get special permission to go to other colonies. Thanks for waiting, everyone. I'm here to pick you up. Hey. Rio, what are you doing here? Oh, right. Your camp is around here somewhere, isn't it? Something like that. I happened to stop by and saw you. Your camp. We're learning a little bit more interesting. Okay, all right. Or Enigma is next part, but you should show me sometime. I've always wanted to see what kind of setup you have. Absolutely not. Seriously? Then why'd you come over here anyway? You had to assume that's what I thought you were going to ask. I was just worried. You look like you were lost. Me? Lost? Huh. So that's what you thought. Actually, I changed my mind. You want to go to Tau and get some food? Hugo's the one who cooks, right? And don't blame me if he gives you the death glare. Don't worry. Hugo may complain, but he actually likes cooking for others. Come on, Let's go. So Rio doesn't live in Theta or in Tau. Like, you've kind of figured he lived in Theta and then was just, like, going over to Tau, but, like, he lives somewhere outside. And also the fact that he doesn't turn into a... Well, we know he's got, like, one of those crystal things in his watch. Like, okay, so, but unless he's got, like, a form like Yukonami and Hyuga, right? Or he's got a magical girl form, but he can go outside. So he is as special as Ibuki at any rate. Like, I and the Blooms, we can't go outside without transforming. Well, we don't know that I can't go outside without transforming. We assume. But we don't know. You know what I mean? Ibuki's thoughts. Spacey, where are you? Looking for her like this sure brings me back. Back to when I went to see Togo and Sana. When they left the research district, I wanted to see them so badly I combed all of Theta looking for them. When I finally found them, they'd already had a child. Both Togo and Sana were so happy after that. For a while, anyway. And the atmosphere around those three was so gentle, almost sparkling to me. But when I escaped the lab and went to find them, Sana was already in a bad way. Even though I was watching from far away, I could tell she was nearing the end. I saw so many from Generation 1 go the same way. I knew immediately what was going to happen. And then I realized Togo would share the same fate. He might have appeared healthy at first, but I thought his face was full of melancholy. And that shining happiness I felt when I first found them was completely gone. She was still so young at the time. She probably didn't realize what was happening to her parents. Even after Togo left to check on Sana, she just kept on smiling. Seeing her like that, I wished her smile would never have a reason to fade. With Sana gone and Togo soon to follow, she'd be left all alone. I doubt she'd be truly happy living as a human in Theta since then. I doubt she's been truly sorry. Maybe she'd be happier running away like I did and living as a Vector. What is happiness to her? How can I regain that warmth I felt when I first saw her? And that's what I keep thinking about. No, I asked her for an answer. I wanted to know hers because she lived her life with humans. And yet, without realizing it, I've started to feel the same things I did when I first saw her back then. I just want her to be happy. And if she's happy, then the answer I seek is no longer... I have to find Spacey.
Wait, that was a Vector on the TV growling. It's not an Amino growling at you, buddy.
Okay. And then Ibuki investigation. Internal investigation report, file 5, Ibuki. What? You want to know about me, even after all this time? Oh, I see. You're putting together a report. And just who are you reporting to? I suppose it doesn't matter. What would you like to know? My name and date of birth. My name's Ibuki, and I'm 21 years old. That answers that question, then. Okay. Still a little bit too old for us, I feel like. 5 years. So he was like 5 or 6 when he, like, ran away. But, like, damn, though. You know what I mean? Well, that's what it made it seem like. Like, he's 5 years older than us, but it was like 5, like when he ran and found when we were a baby, like who knows how old we are, whatever. But anyway, I was told my birthday is June 5th. What's next? Oh, my family and upbringing. Why do you want to know? You should know all about that. I have no blood relatives. Even if someone happened to be related to me, I wouldn't view them as family. But if you're asking if there are people I felt close to, then the answer is yes. Togo and Sana. They were the first people I felt an affinity for. And now I would say there's Hyuga and Yukonami, though they're more like good friends than family. I grew up in Theta's research district and then I drifted to Tau, so those 4 people are very special to me. What else? You want to know about my powers and transformation? What more is there to say? I've always had these powers ever since I was a child. Ow, jerk! You're not being nice, you mean bird. And that's like asking regular people what they think about breathing. My transformation is just a natural part of everything. I'm still me. Nothing's changed, even if I look different. Do I feel any resistance to becoming a woman? I've never thought about that. By the way, deciding whether I want to be Moravia or Ibuki is entirely dependent on my mood. It doesn't really matter which form I'm in. And that's all there is to it. Yeah, you got to appreciate that thought. Like, some people like, I got used to it, and he's like, whatever, it's however I feel. Do I feel like Ibuki today? Do I feel like Moravia? Whatevs. All right. Our void. Oh, and this is where we get our last CG for him. So. Yep. Hey, so I know I said earlier it didn't matter which form I was in. But it's different when I'm with her. I always want to be like this when she's around. And that's what I've been thinking recently. There are things I can't do when I'm Moravia. For example, I don't need to say anymore. Why? Yeah, it's like, don't say anymore. Ow! That was really hard, jackass. That was really fucking hard and not nice. You were a bad bird. You was very bad. You almost fucking punctured my skin. That's not nice. You were very mean. You don't like your attitude. I have no idea what you're imagining, but it's nothing weird. Moravia is about the same height as her, so we're always at the same eye level. But I like it when she looks up at me, especially when I hug her. Wait, you think that's weird? Really? She and I care about each other, and hugging's very normal, isn't it? I get it. You're jealous. Just kidding. Well, doesn't matter what you think, because I'm never going to give her up. She's precious to me and me alone. Are you still recording? Oh, really? Then make sure she listens to that last part. The precious bit. No, you can't. You're not using it for that. I have to tell her myself. Oh, you're no fun. Aw, it's just like snugs with the vectors. It's kind of cute. Although we don't get to see his pretty eyes, and he doesn't quite look like Ibuki. So, like, as for an Ibuki CG, it's probably... I hate to say it's the worst one, but... It's pretty overall, but Ibuki doesn't look like Ibuki right here. You know what I mean? I don't know. It just didn't look like him to me. I think that's basically it, because then it's just those. Yeah. All right, so we'll look at our last two CGs. Like, he's just so pretty, you know... Wait. Yeah, they both just have the one. He's just so fucking pretty. Like, even in this one, his eyes closed, but, like, he still kind of looks like Ibuki. But there's just something, for some reason, about this one where he doesn't look like himself at all. You know what I mean? I think so far, Yukonami had pretty good CGs for the fact that, like, his route was kind of disturbing and, like, not, you know? I still like this one a little bit better than the last one, just because he looks so pretty in it, you know what I mean? But anyway, yeah. I don't really have anything else to add between this part and the last one, because they're basically, like, nothing really changed here. I mean, the bad endings are bad endings. You know, he kills everyone. He's still, like, it's, I think it's kind of interesting, because the only thing stopping him from, like, literally going psychotic is us being like, no. Humans and vectors, why can't we everybody get along and whatever, and then trying to convince him he's human. But the second you're like, vectors probably, bam, off murdering everyone. You're a off murdering everyone. Like, Jesus. Like, he was just like he is a very hair trigger, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I like Ibuki still. It's not, I don't know, I wouldn't be like, oh my god, it's the best route ever. But I still like Ibuki, and I still like Tokyo. They're still my favorites, because they're beautiful. I am a little bit more intrigued for the reveals and the things going on in Rio's route. Although the bullet points, I didn't read about it, but the bullet points for Rio on Otome Kitten's thing is meh, Gane. Like he's meh. And then just the little shrug emoji. So I'm getting the vibe that she's not really into Rio that much is what I'm getting from that. I'm like, okay. Also, I mean, I think they show, like, I think it's in the opening credits where they show some 28, and I'm like, yeah, and he's also, like, even though, like, they classify him as an adult or whatever, but to be fair, Hyuga's 24 and Ibuki's 21, so they're also still adults. You know what I mean? Where everybody in the Blooms is, like, your age. If she's, like, 16, 17, say. Okay, let's just say she's 17, even though second year, which... Well, it would probably technically be like your third year in high school in the US. You would be like 16 to going on 17, you know, because most people in high school, when they graduate, are like 17, possibly just turning 18 or turned 18 right before you graduate, depending on when your birthday is. So, okay, let's just say she's 16, 17, even 17. Everyone around her is like roughly around the same age. You know what I mean? So, like, okay... Anywhere from, again, if she's 16, then I think Mihayo was younger, so he'd be like 15. Okay. Or he's 16, she's 17, and then maybe the other one. Well, Tokyo and Ayumu are in her grade as well. So, like, still, you know, age appropriate. Yukonami, probably age appropriate, but mentally not so much. Hyuga, like, I mean, 24, that's a little bit much when you're 17. Like, no, the age difference wise, numerically, is not anything. But when you're 17, yes, it fucking is. Yes, it fucking is. You shouldn't be dating people who are pushing 25. That's kind of fucked up. Even a 21-year-old is a little much. But, like, okay, we're supposed to be like, all right, well, not worry about it. But it is like, I don't know. I just think it's funny that they kind of bring up this, like, oh, well, like, Rio's an adult. So were Ibuki and Hyuga. So we're just going to gloss over that. So, like, I mean, I guess we shouldn't be too concerned, but Rio, you're like 10 years older than her. It's a little bit like, sir, let's push in the lines a little bit. A little bit. Okay. But technically 11 if she's only like 16, but oh, God, be 12. No, if she's 17 and you're like 12. I don't know, but listen, the age gap things usually bother me. And when you're like 16 or so, I know. It's just me personally. I got to get the reality out of it. The reality of it is disturbing and fucked up. Like, ew. What your 30-year-old thinks a 16-year-old is attractive? That's disturbing. Like, teenagers look like infants. Fuck, people in their early 20s look like infants to me, okay? Like, no offense if you're in your early 20s, but you look like an infant to me. Like, look at you, you're so cute. Grandma just wants to pinch your cheeks. You know what I mean? So, like, I just don't personally, like... And I know, like, when you get older, like 20 and 40, it's a little fucking weird, because, like, what 40-year-old has a lot in common with a 20-year-old, but, you know, when you get to be, like, 30 and 50, it's literally the exact same gap, but less weird. The older you get, the less weird larger age gaps are, but when you're a teenager, like... a couple of years makes a fucking big difference, you know? But again, that's me, and, like, I do this a lot with people, like, you have to learn to separate reality and, like, fantasy, but, like, so I realize that, if you're in your, like, playing this game, I'm not like, oh, God, I might be thinking that, but it's, like, it's a fantasy thing, so I don't begrudge anybody if they're playing a teenage girl and, like, yeah, I like being a teenage girl dating 40-year-old men. I personally think that's weird, but I also am the person who's like, I don't care if he's my brother, I'll bang him. I would never do that in real life. That's disgusting. That's some fucked up shit. Like, there's a difference in playing a game. So, like, I really shouldn't be bothered by the age difference thing in game, but that's where my brain does not know how to separate the fiction and the reality. Like, personally. Like, I don't think anybody, if you're playing these games and you're, like, in love with the route and being like playing a 16-year-old girl dating a 28-year-old guy, I don't think there's anything wrong with you. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a game. It's not fucking real. But my personal thing is like, I don't love it, you know? We'll see. We'll see what happens in his route. I'm curious to know more about him, though, because, like, Now all of a sudden we've gotten a few little things where you're like, wait, so he doesn't live in either colony, and like now there's a little bit more mysteries, and you're like, all right. Before he was just there, and you're like, all right, obviously like he's got a lot of stuff because he's the last route, so there's definitely a lot of lore dumping that's gonna go on. But now it's like a little bit more intriguing, like, okay, wait, though. But like, what kind of information are we getting out of this man? Like, what's going on here? You know, were you a researcher? Did you know my parents too? But like, I feel like they would have mentioned that in here. You know what I mean? But like, or because there are quote unquote higher ups, right, that are kind of overseeing things, you're like, are you really playing three? Oh God, are you not just a double agent? You're a triple agent? You know what I mean? Because, like, to be fair, the commander was also kind of a double agent because he kind of knew exactly what Yashima was doing. He knew all of that stuff. He helped free my parents. He was probably like, good, Ibuki escaped. Good for him because he doesn't like what they're doing. He is kind of soft undermining the higher-ups and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But, like, so I'm curious, even though he wasn't hard doing it, like, he was kind of softly doing it, you know what I mean? And then we saw at the end of Ibuki's good ending that they kind of caught on and they're like, oh, you've been shady this whole time. And he's like, got me. So he had to run away with us, right? But with Rio, you're like, he's always been a clear double agent working on both sides. But is he a triple agent? Like, is he really working for the higher ups? But at the same time, he can breathe outside. So so it'd be weird that he's siding with the higher ups and all these people doing this experimentation when he's basically an experiment himself. Unless he's like, yeah, because it obviously works. You just have to do, and like, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm really curious how he got his powers, how he ties into it. Was he an experiment? Was he a research? And does nobody know? Like, obviously these guys know because they see him out, but I don't think like Misaki knows that Rio can just go outside without anything. Maybe he does. Maybe he absolutely knows and it's just never come up because not important until we get to Rio's route. So I'm just curious, you know what I mean? They make it at least intriguing to figure out the answers, and it better be worth my time. You know? I don't dislike Rio. I think for the Glasses character, they did him a little dirty. Like, they could have made him prettier, you know? Like, I think it's his hair. Kind of like the part down the middle with the side bang thing. It's like, you could have done his hair better, and then he would have been prettier, I think. You know? It's like when they give him bowl cuts and shit. You're like, the fuck is this shit? You know? You know? But, like, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But anyway, we'll start banging Rio next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.